Hey there, I'm Ron Juckett, and welcome to the DoDCast postgame show following, I wouldn't say it's a disappointing loss. You're going to lose games like this every once in a while. The Nats dropped their Businessmen Federal Workforce Day special 4-2 to the Seattle Mariners. It's the first Mariners win in D.C. in 9 tries. Kind of an interesting effort. Gio Gonzalez didn't look comfortable, actually might have hurt his pectoral muscle at one point in the game. Pitches into the 6th game outing. Didn't allow a hit for the first 4 innings. We'll take the loss. Seattle got to the bullpen for 4. I mean, Gio left with a 2-0 lead. Jacob Turner's going to get the loss. Blake Treinen also, I think, gave up a run too. So that's where we are to start this. So it's the San Diego Padres for 3 in town this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Remember, Sunday at Nationals Park is their Memorial Day service, and you'll get in the outfield after the game. All right, let's look at the totals. Seattle, 4 runs, 9 hits, and an error. Nationals, 2 runs on 6 hits and an error. Miranda for Seattle gets the win. He goes to 4-2 on the year. Jacob Turner with the loss out of the pen. He goes to 2-3. And Diaz with the save, his 8th. He had lost his job as Seattle's closer, but they used him today and was effective. He did put the tying run on base, but they couldn't do anything with it. The big blow for Washington, Anthony Rendon with a solo shot in the 5th. Another home run for him. He hit 545 in the series up until his last at bat. So I'm going to say he hit 500 in the series for Washington. That's a very good number. He is just absolutely on fire right now. Watch some pitches. Trey Turner drew a walk, which is what you want. Michael A. Taylor did not get a hit, but he did walk. So, you're not going to get print. It was one of those day games after a night game. They moved up the start 4 hours because of what they thought would be impending weather, which they'd still be able to start the game, but they wouldn't be able to finish it. And with Seattle only making 1 trip to D.C. this year, or for the next 3 or 4 years, they didn't want to have to fly them back out on their next trip if they couldn't find a mutual off day. It's way too early to be only playing games if the schedule needs it for playoff purposes. So they were smart to get it in. Kind of a small crowd today, 18,881. The bullpen at times looked shaky again, but Jacob Turner hadn't pitched in 8 days. You got to pitch him more often than that. He will be in the pen for now, as Joe Ross had that magnificent start. So we know who the starting rotation is. The Nats pen was rested. Again, you got to throw those pitches for strikes. Let's get to the pitching lines. Nats were 1 for 6 runners in scoring position today. That's not very good. So Gio Gonzalez pitched into the 6th, 5 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned. He walked 4 and struck out 8. Threw a lot of balls. He induced a lot of double plays too. He induced 2, and then the bullpen got a tremendous one for Murphy later in the game, which really helped. The first 2 really helped out Gonzalez. No decision for him. The ERA goes up to 2.90, 96 pitches and 50 strikes. Not efficient baseball, but it was Gio. He got the job done. He was reaching for his pectoral muscle. In the 5th, we had someone who was at the game tweet that on their timeline, and then the announcers and some of the press started to pick up on that. Hopefully that's not an issue. But he didn't look comfortable for most of the game. Jacob Turner gets a 2nd blown save and takes a loss. He goes an inning, 4 hits, 2 runs, both earned. He walked 1, struck out 1, and gave up the home run to Cruz, rather. A 3-run shot, which put the Mariners on the board 3-2. Let's see, 32 pitches and 18 strikes. It was not a good performance from Turner. But then again, rust probably was an issue. Matt Grace does not retire a batter. He gives up a hit through 6 pitches and 4 strikes. And then Blake Treinen, 2/3 of an inning, no hits, no runs. He walked 1 and didn't strike out any, so it's going to look good for the ERA. But again, he had trouble throwing for strikes. In fact, Mike Maddox had to come out. 10 pitches in 4 strikes. He's got to throw his stuff for strikes. He induced that double play, by the way. That's right. That Murphy turn. That's what you want to see from Trinan. But again, when he's in there with runners on base, he pitches at such a slow pace. There's no confidence there, and good hitters will take advantage of that. Matt Albers does the yeoman's work of an inning and 2/3, a hit, and he struck out the side in the 8th inning. He threw 24 pitches and threw 16 strikes. Ali Perez gets the last batter on a strikeout, 5 pitches and 3 strikeouts. Miranda, 5 innings for Seattle, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned. He walked 3 and struck out 4, but he got the win, and that's all that matters. And if you're wondering about Diaz, he threw allowed a hit in the 9th. A tying run came up, but he pitched around it. So only 85 pitches for Miranda for 52 strikes. Hey, Al, good to see you. So, it wasn't a terrible game. You throw a couple of those together, you might worry, but it's the same stuff, different day. The bullpen isn't quite as sharp as you would like, despite the fact that they've really had about 3 days off. I mean, Seattle had 2 runs in the first 2 games of the series. They scored 4 today. You'd like to see more progress from Trinan as he regains his confidence. We saw that with Roark in his last start. He was rocky the first 2 innings, and then as his stuff started to connect, you saw the confidence come back, and he actually threw some 6, 7, 8 pitch innings. Trinan, he just has to trust his stuff. You've got to throw strikes. Same with Gio. My goodness, the first 5 batters of the game, he threw full counts. His first 2 innings were as rocky as you wanted. He certainly didn't have his A-game stuff, but he induced 2 ground ball double plays and got around it. And so whatever gets you through it on the box score, it looks clean and tidy, and you're watching it, and you're biting your fingernails. I pull my hair out, but I don't have that much hair left to pull. So, whatever works. They were not cruising right along, but they were in pretty good shape. Al asks, do you think the Nats will make a trade to show up the pen? And if so, who might be on the trading block? It really depends, Al, on what Cody Glover does. He is now the official starter. I do think that they make a trade by the deadline, and it'll probably be for one of the kids. I don't want to say Andrew C. They almost hit. Drew Ward was almost traded at one point in the spring. I'm sure that people will look at him. I don't think it'll be anyone that's actually on the team. I think whoever it is, it'll be a prospect for maybe the Nats might take some money on as well. But if Glover does well over these next 6 weeks, they're not really in a hurry, I don't think, to make a trade. Do you trust him in the playoffs? Because the Nats aren't really poised to blow this lead. The offense and the starting pitching is too good. This is a team that can score 7 a game, and hey, if it's 7-6, it's 7-6. A W is a W, and in DC they're curly W's. But if Glover can show them that he can slam the door, I think they may be more inclined to see where they are come July. Do I think that they missed not signing Greg Holland when all Holland wanted was the vesting option for next year? Yes. Absolutely. That's the one that will, if the Nats do not advance this year, that's the move that will keep Mike Rizzo up at night. But beyond that, I think you gotta wait. If they're about to get Sammy Solis back, he's an extended spring training. Joe Blanton is coming off the disabled list. Let's see where they are in about a month, and then go from there. But if they can get the one big piece, if they have the closer piece solved, then they can start to bridge that gap with pitchers who they think can do it. And with the emergence of Michael A. Taylor as a credible center fielder, especially, he was going to strike out a bunch, but so did Danny Espinosa. But his defense is good, and when he makes contact, he gets on base and is a threat to steal. I said this during the game. They probably will make a trade, but it's now plausible that they won't. and you can hang on to the Victor Robles, the Andrew Stevensons, and who they have down on the farm. Not likely, but it's at least looking to be realistic. So yes, I do think that they wait at least for a while. You can't make a panic move, and I do think slowly but surely the Trinan is coming around. Kelly pitched well in his stint last night. I do think that there's no urgency to do it. Don't panic. I think they do it, but don't do it until you know what you need, because before they needed 2 or 3 pieces, and you can't trade for 2 or 3 pieces. They can trade for 1. If they really don't think that Glover can close games in the playoffs, they make the move. But we'll figure that out in a few weeks. Not signing Hollandale says could come back to haunt them. I agree. Yeah, that's the one that kind of boggles my mind. They paid all the money for Wieters, but look what Wieters has done. He's hitting close to 400 at home. Absolutely was the right move. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think the other big key, Al, is what happens when Blanton comes back. If he pitched hurt to start the year, Al says it was only money. If he was hurt to start the year, then we don't know what he can do. If he got hurt pitching and he was pitching as poorly as he was, then yeah, that's the place. That's the piece you got to replace. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Pittsburgh beat Atlanta 9-4, so the Nats lose no ground. The Nats are now 28-18. They're still 7.5 games above the Braves in second place. One other game of the division, Colorado and Philly are tied at 1 in the bottom of the 8th. Tommy Joseph with a home run to tie it for Philadelphia. 2 other games. Tampa leads the Angels. We're talking about the attendance in Tampa, but no one goes to see Tampa, even in Tampa. And the Giants and Cubs are tied at 1. Kansas City, New York were already rained out. We'll see if rain affects the games for the Mets and the Red Sox later on. So, yeah, in the division tonight, the Padres and the Mets at 7-10, and the Padres make the brief trip down 95 to play the Nationals for 3 this weekend, with Max Scherzer pitching tomorrow. So Al asked, do I think the Mets will get hot at some point? Well, I think that we need to see if the Mets get healthy at some point first, Al. They're really not. I think that Michael Conforto has had a tremendous year. In fact, people are tweeting that his numbers are pretty equal with Aaron Judge with the Yankees, but hasn't had the publicity. The Mets are really in a bind because Familia's hurt for most of the rest of the year because he had thoracic outlet surgery. Can I ask you a reply question? Of course you can, Al. What was it? The division itself isn't very good. I mean, the Braves are in second place. The Phillies are going nowhere, but I think they're a team that is young and will be going places in the future. And Miami just seems to be lost this year, which is not a surprise after the Jose Fernandez thing last year. So, I do think that the division, and I don't want to say it's locked up because you can say these things before Memorial Day, and they come back to bite you. But Washington, I think, with their offense and starting pitching, is in very good shape. Al asks the question, why does it seem like league office gets replays wrong? Well, would you have to... I don't think they get them wrong all the time. I think I really wish they would just. It's one of those things. You got to slow these things down sometimes to 300 frames a second to make a snap judgment. And they're seeing the same things that we are, but remember, the evidence has to be conclusive. So I can't think of it. You can't argue obviously balls and strikes, which I think is what most people would like to see argued. But if it looks like something may be overturned and it's not obvious, they can't overturn it. As wrong as that may be for some people, that's the way it is, and that's the way the rules are. So you can't change things unless it's obvious. There always will be a human element to it. And we had a lot of chatter during games about whether or not there should be robot home plate umpires. And yes, some of the home plate umpiring is a stretch, but as long as they're consistent for both teams, then both teams have to deal with it. This is a game played by human beings. I would hate to see the human element completely stripped out of it, which sometimes means that they get it, which means that even the humans in New York get it wrong. But I think they get it right more often than not. All right, let's take a look at the minor leagues. Hopefully that answer your question. There are a bunch of games today. It's a doubleheader today in Charlotte between Syracuse and Charlotte. Voth and Giolito go at it at 6:05, and then Arias and Lamb in the nightcap. Potomac plays Frederick at 7:05 at home. Baez 1-5 with a 5.50. ERA goes there. Hagerstown and West Virginia play at 7:05 tonight. Hagerstown's pitchers to be determined. West Virginia goes with Marvel. West Virginia is 21-21. And Harrisburg and Erie are already postponed in Erie in AA action. And so that is a quick look at the minor leagues. So that's pretty much it. Mad Max goes tomorrow. We'll see if there are any lingering effects from his taking one off the back of the knee on Mother's Day in the doubleheader. He didn't pitch all that well his last time out on a full night's rest, and they've got the San Diego Padres. And so that will be my story for the morning. Will be 5 to watch for in that series. Today, Ricky did something on the hot Anthony Rendon and did a draft profile for North Carolina slugger Margoth. I forget his first name. It's not OSCAR, I know that. He had a double today, by the way, in the ACC tournament game that North Carolina was playing. So we have a draft profile for you and a look at Anthony Rendon. And tomorrow, like I said, we'll have 5 to watch out for in the Padres series as they come back down from New York to play DC. It doesn't look like weather should be a factor tomorrow, so we'll get that one in. 7:05 tomorrow, 4:05 on Saturday. Ricky will be with you for that. And then the 1:35 Memorial Day yoga in the outfield on Sunday to wrap up the homestand, and then the cross-country flight for San Francisco and Los Angeles. So working on the Dunkin' because I've got the article to write tonight, and so there'll be a lot of coffee drunk over the next few days as the Nats go West Coast hopping. So if you wondered why that they were trying to get this one done early, they thought last night that it was going to thunder after 4 o'clock, and they didn't want to have Seattle have to make this one up at a later date, so they played it early. Whether it happens or not, it's fine. They still got it in. The Nats lose this one 4-2. They take 2 out of 3 from Seattle. San Diego is on deck, and if they take 2 out of 3, then it's a 4 out of 6 week, and you can't do much better than that's pretty good. All right, and so for the rest of the staff at District on Deck, including my co-editor and partner in crime, Ricky Keeler, I'm Ron Chuckett. I will talk to you tomorrow.